Okay, folks, tonight we're going to take a look at the demographics and traffic patterns at the Google Merchandise Store. I'm Joe Ingles, and we're doing this for a project for social media and web analytics. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at exactly what the Google Merchandise Store is. So, it's a store or platform that's used to sell Alphabet branded merchandise. Alphabet is the parent company of Google, as well as Android, YouTube, and a host of other companies. They also use it as a test platform for Google Analytics to decide whether or not the products actually work and things of this nature. They look at the number of click-throughs and what have you. And they also use Google Analytics training, or they do Google Analytics training through this particular website. So it becomes a neat little sandbox that we can use to play around in and actually tool around to see what we can find. The purpose of this particular study was to develop a picture or a target of the target demographic and then see how that target demographic behaves on their website. What we found was that the target demographic is tech-savvy millennials and Gen X men from inside the US. They have a high bounce rate and a low conversion percentage, which means they browse but they don't buy. So what we recommend is more targeted ads on Wired, The Verge, and CNET.com. Now, this graph shows the target demographic for the number of sessions over the last 2 weeks from April 1st to April 14th. As you can see, the number of millennials aged 25 to 34 dominate the other age groups, especially with the male demographic. The next one up is the Gen Xers, and then the Centennials age 18 to 24. When we look at revenue by user, per user by age and gender, we can see, however, that it's not millennials but Gen Xers who dominate, those in age group 35 to 44, and then millennials. So the millennial age group, 25 to 34, is actually dominated, not dominated, but at least a little bit more toward the women than it is toward the men. Predominantly, the number of sessions comes from the United States. Out of the 170,000 over the last 2 weeks, 20,199 of those came from the United States. When it comes to revenue per user by country, the U.S. dominates as well with an average of $21.09. When we look at sessions by device category, we can see that the desktop amounts for 71.6% of the total, with the mobile and tablet market bringing up the rest of that. However, when we look at the revenue by device, the desktop absolutely eclipses the other two. 98.2% of all of the revenue is given by those using a desktop. The mobile and tablet only accounts for 1.8%. So what happens is they're going to and browsing on their mobile device, but then coming back to the desktop to shop. That creates a few problems, which we'll see in just a moment. When we look at customer behavior, the first thing we look at is the entrance point. How do they get to the website in the first place? Well, that can come either through targeted websites, which is what the entrance number represents, or page views, which is the total number of entrances plus organic plus other methodologies. If we look at the entrance, it tells us how quickly they're moving from entrance to page view. So the entrance per page view is 24.41%. What that means is that the number of people who come to the website from somewhere else is only about 24.41%. When we look at entrance and bounce rates, bounces, we get a bounce rate of 45.54%, meaning that quite a few number of the people are coming in. They're looking at what's going on, they don't really care for it, and then they bounce out without moving anywhere else inside the website or clicking through or looking at any of the merchandise. They just come in, bounce out, and move on. Now what that means for us is when we put those two together, we have a relatively high exit percentage at 24.41, and we have a relatively low average percentage of conversion probability at 3.2%. That means that the number of people who come to the website and actually buy something is only 3.2%. That's partly because they spend an average on the page of only about 46 seconds rather. When we drill down a little deeper, what we find is that the number of users for the mobile or tablet entrances is actually a little bit higher, about 29.95% higher than the actual entrances per page view for others. In other words, they're about 30% more likely to come to the website via an ad or another website than they are if they just do it organically. The exit percentage, however, is just as high. It's at another 29.95% higher, and so that means that they're exiting it just as fast as they come in. The average time on the page is 3 seconds slower, or less rather, for negative 6.65% difference, and the average conversion probability drops from 3.2% to just 0.4% when we look at mobile and tablet traffic. So they're just not using mobile devices to buy from the website. Maybe it's not mobile friendly. So what we recommend is to take a look at CNET, The Verge, and Wired. These are websites and magazines that are dominated by tech-savvy individuals, specifically in the target group of males who are Gen Xers and millennials. So they visit these websites. Maybe you can get some ads to push some traffic there and buy Google branded merchandise. We hope you enjoyed this. Have a great evening.